Lesson 35, Math D. All right, we're going to go ahead and go over some problems. I have written here, problem A, 4 times what number equals 0? On your multiplication sheet, you'll find that it is 0. And B, 9 times what number equals 0? 0. Here's a rule. Any number times 0 equals 0. Okay? Let's go ahead to these problems. Problem A. 7 divided by 0 is also 0. However, any number that is divided by itself equals 1. So 4 divided by 4 equals 1. Just like 5 divided by 5 would equal 1, or 100 divided by 100 would equal 1. Okay? So, 2 rules. Anything divided by or multiplied or divided by 0 equals 0. Anything multiplied by 1 equals the same number, and if it's divided by the same number, then it equals 1. Kind of confusing, but all right, we are going to jump over to our textbook to start. We're in part 1. Some of these sentences tell about a difference number. Some tell about 2 types of things that are in the same class. Remember, if a sentence tells about more or less, your family has a difference number. Sentence A. There were 7 hungry children, and the rest were not hungry. Does this sentence tell about more or less? No. Sentence B. The train was 117 yards longer than the truck. Does this sentence tell about more or less? Yes, the difference number there is 117. Sentence C. In March, some of the days were cloudy and 19 were sunny. Does this tell about more or less? No. So the family does not, so it would not have a difference number. Sentence D. In March, there are 11 more rainy days than sunny days. 11 days is your difference number, so yes, it is going to tell about my difference number. All right, so let's go back to A. Starting with my first number family here. I'm going to write it in along the line. Remember, they're written differently depending on if there's a difference number or not. All right. There are 7 hungry children, and the rest were not hungry. Okay, so I know that I'm talking about children. However, I'm talking about children who are hungry and not hungry, and I want to know how many children there are in all. So this number sentence is always going to end with all. And then you're going to have hungry and not hungry. And then it says there were 7 hungry children. So you would just plug in the numbers where the sentence says. So that is how you would write it. Usually, or coming up soon, we'll have another sentence tacked onto that, and it will tell us either how many children are in all or how many are not hungry so that we can figure out the problem. We're just learning to set up these problems first. Problem B. Now remember, this was one with a difference number. The train was 117 yards longer than the truck. So if it has a difference number, you can read the sentence without the difference number to figure out which item was bigger, longer, wider. So I'm going to read it without the difference number. The train was longer than the truck. So that tells me that the train is my big number. Train goes at the end. And then truck goes here. Remember, my difference number always comes in this first space, 117. That's how you write a difference number problem. So these are the two different types of ways that you're writing these problems. Problem C is just like problem A, and problem D is just like problem B. I want you to go ahead and try C and D on your own on your paper, and I will check those when you submit them. When you are ready, we're going to move on to part 2. All right, we are going to write some equations with fractions that equal whole numbers. Remember, the whole number tells how to make the fraction. If the whole number is 6, the top number of the fraction is 6 times the bottom number. If the whole number is 4, the top number is 4 times the bottom number. Problem A. So I'm going to multiply the big number by this number to get my top number. 8 times 3 equals 24. So 24 thirds equals 8. Problem B. 4 equals blank over 5. I'm going to multiply these to get my answer. 4 times 5 is 20. So 4 is equal to 25ths. Problem C. I'm going to multiply these. 9 times 2, 18. So 9 is equal to 18 over 2. Got confused there for a second. All right, and D. 6 times 3 is 18. So 6 is equal to 18 thirds. There is a problem E. It is 6 equals blank over 5. That's easy peasy. I want you guys to solve this one so I can see if you understand. This number times this number equals the top number. Okay? When you are finished, we can go to part 3. Part 3 is easy peasy division. You're just going to use your multiplication sheet and solve for the division problems. Write all the answers to your problems in part 3. When you are finished, we're going to go ahead and move over to our workbook page. But first, we're going to practice some problems. So these are a little bit more difficult than the easy division problems. All right, you learned how to work division problems that have answers with more than one digit. You just say the division problem for each digit under the number sign, then you write the answer above that digit. So this number is 604 divided by 2. So I'm first going to look at this. 2 goes into 6 how many times? 2, 4, 6. 3 times. So that digit goes just above the 6. 2 goes into 0 times. So I'm going to plug a 0 in there. 2 goes into 4 2 times. So how many times does 2 go into 604? 302 times. All right, we're going to go ahead and jump to our workbook to do a couple problems there. Problem A in my workbook is 4, 180, 480. All right, so here's my first problem. So 4 divided by 4 equals 1. Then 4 divided by 8 equals 2. 4 divided by 0 equals 0. So do you see how I'm saying the division problems for each problem as I work them? Problem A, problem B. All right, let's try this one. 8 divided by 2 equals 4. 2 divided by 0 is 0. 2 divided by 2 is 1. All right, C is 60 divided by 3. That one's pretty easy peasy, so I want to see how you guys do on that one. Your division problem will look like 6 divided by 3 is what? And then 0 divided by 3 is what? And remember our rule that we learned, anything divided by 0 is 0. All right, let's see. I'm going to go ahead and find part 2. All right, so we are going to be putting some mixed numbers in on the number line. Some go on the bottom number line and some go on the top. Listen, write the fraction for the whole numbers on both number lines. Let me find my pencil. All right, so fraction, or this one up here. The way that I know which line to put them on is I'm going to count how many places I have from 0 to 1. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm going to put a 4 in all of these boxes. Okay, you guys know how to figure out the top number. You multiply the 4 times the top number. 4 times 0 is 0. 4 times 1 is 4. Then 4 times 2, 4 times 3, and so on. I want you to do the same thing to this number line. All right, now when we look at our fractions, you see the different denominators. So you can tell which one goes on which number line. If it has a 4 as its bottom number, it's going to go up here. If it has a 2 as its bottom number, it's going to go down here. All right, so the first one, 2 plus 1/2. So I know I'm going to have to go to the second number line. I'm going to jump over to the big 2 and then jump over 1/2. And this is where I would put my A. So this problem has a couple different parts. Let's do one for the other line. Let's do B. Okay? B is 2 1/4. So I'm going to go to my top line because 4 is the bottom number. I'm going to jump over to my big 2. Then I'm going to go over just 1. That's where the fraction tells me. And I'm going to put my B. You are just plugging them in where they go on the number line. I want you to go ahead and complete the rest of those on your own. When you are finished, we'll move on to part 3. Now, part 3, I know I've said in the past, I'm not a fan of these problems because you'll never see the problems written like this. However, 4 times 50, A, B, 5 times 80. All right, so when I work these problems, I am just multiplying the two numbers that I have. So it will be 5 times 4, which is 20, and I add a 0. 8 times 5, 40, and I add a 0. I want you guys to go ahead and try to finish up part 3 as well. Then part 4 is independent work. When you are finished with that, you can go ahead back to the textbook and complete the independent work for lesson 35. When you are finished, please submit to your teacher.